it's good, man. Like honestly, like I just started my YouTube this year, right?
Cool.
And when I got it, like, you know, when I hit the ground like going, I started uploading, like, you know, within the first month or so, I uploaded like 10 videos.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I'm saying. Like when you have like 2 videos there or 2 content for people to consume,
Yeah,
it's like it looks very unprofessional, you know,
Totally.
in a way, right?
Yeah.
It's like people are hyped up about it, but then when they go try to like feast on it, there's really not that much to try to.
They're gonna get bored and they'll move on.
Right.
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 Because this is the age of consumption, dude. This is the age of like binging Netflix.
It
you
is,
know,
right.
binging whatever.
Right, binging everything.
So people like they just expect a lot of content.
Right.
You know.
Right.
You know, I'm like refreshing my feed to every Monday morning for when my favorite podcast comes out. It's like,
yeah,
I gotta get it. I gotta have it.
Yeah,
like,
for sure, man.
You know.
No, I get it.
So
yeah,
yeah. But what kind of stuff are you doing on YouTube?
So I'm mostly doing I'm just doing mostly just my music content right now.
Nice.
Not much of vlogging, actual like talking or anything like that yet, but I think I will set that up eventually.
Yeah.
I just want people to get a pretty good sense of my brand.
Yeah.
It's not a vlogging channel, right? That's very supplemental to what I'm doing.
Okay.
Most of it is showcasing my, I guess, you know, the type of music that I want to push, which is, I think, a pretty unique genre for people to slowly accept and absorb, because it's not really very common on the market, and it's not one of those niches. Like, I have a tough time hashtagging things just because there's no niche in my music genre, you know, but I'm excited, you know, and I think that's part of the journey that I'm looking forward to embrace.
Yeah.
Is really developing my own sound and just sticking with that sound.
Yeah.
You know?
So how do you define your genre? Like what do you call it?
So typically, like, I brand myself as a bilingual musician. Not even like just a rapper, because I do a lot more than just rap.
Yeah.
You know, and you've heard my EP, like,
yeah,
I do a lot of melodic stuff.
Absolutely, you mix it up,
right? And I do a mixture of languages in there, right? So I think it's very like it's pretty new to the market. At least I haven't seen anybody doing this kind of stuff, and I think it's one way for me to like try to bring together like East and West in a way, like, you know, the music scene, like the R&B, the trap soul.
Yep.
The rap, and then it's just kind of like trying to find that balance, where people can kind of stand in a mutual place and feel like that's why it's Diverseddie. That's why, you know, I'm Diverseddie.
Yeah, that's where the name comes from.
Right.
So forgive my ignorance, but what, like, obviously there's English, but what other language is it that you're speaking on the album, just for people that don't know?
Right. So I'm speaking Mandarin Chinese. Okay. So I'm partially raised in China. You know, my family and we emigrated here like when I was 10. So I had a pretty decent background in speaking Chinese and writing and stuff.
Yeah, right.
But then I eventually picked it up again, like near after I've graduated from college. Like, I picked it up again because, you know, I worked back in China for about 2 years, and then
when you were 10.
No, like after I graduated from college.
Okay, and you went back.
No, that's hardcore, man. That's like child labor. I mean, you know, it's. I think it's just one of those things that I never foresaw. I never I didn't never see myself go back after I graduated from a Canadian school. You know. Yeah,
because like your family moves here, right, to try and start a new life or whatever, but then ironically you ended up going back, right? And that's, was that like, how was it?
It was at first it felt like a reverse cultural shock, right? Yeah. Obviously I don't feel like I'm at home or anything like that. I just feel like, you know, we're all the same face, but I speak like a very different you know, I speak a different culture. Right? There's like a cultural gap. And I think that really made me very eager to like try to learn more about the changes that happened in like the last 10 years. Okay. While I wasn't in China, like permanent. Right. And I noticed how much like China advanced in terms of like the entertainment industry. Right. And just like the sound that they're doing, and just like people's mindsets you know, have really gone forward a lot. And it's really surprising, you know, to some extent.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow. So you noticed, you remembered, you had memories of being a kid.
Right.
And not, you know, I can't say I have too many memories of being 9, 10 years old.
Right.
But it was powerful enough for you that you noticed that big of a change in that decade.
Right.
And then how long were you there for before you came back? Back to Canada.
Right. So I just came back at the end of December last year.
Okay.
So like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the decision to come back wasn't even like my own. That wasn't even my own decision either. It was just a very prompt, like impulsive decision. Just because, you know, my family wanted me back for the holidays, and then because I haven't been coming back during my work there, right? And so they wanted me back for the holidays, and I just saw myself like, you know, I needed a break probably from being away from home for too long, just being away from my friends for too long, you know. Because in China it was mostly just all business, you know, and that had a profound impact on my, like, you know, my stress level, right? So because, you know, the population and the work pace there it's fast paced. You know?
It must be, I can only imagine. I've never been, but I mean, I know what it's like trying to get on the SkyTrain in Vancouver at 9 a.m. in the morning. But probably, you know, multiply that by you know, several. Several tens.
For sure. No, that's exactly, you're picturing it exactly right.
You know. So you came back here after that learning / stress period, December, and then that's when we met, right? You came through the studio, and and you came in and recorded some a cappella work. And then shortly after, your new EP came out. So what was that journey like? You know, finishing the music, putting out that project. What's that been like?
So most of the EP was actually recorded when I was still in Shanghai.
Okay, cool.
So I worked with a studio in Shanghai. So I got all the recordings in. I sent it to, you know, my engineer who mixes my music, and while my engineer was doing that, I was thinking about, like, you know, just the finishing touches on trying to do like something on top of the EP itself. So that's why, you know, decided to come through and do that. And then and also I did that because as you may or may not know, like, there's a show in China that's hot, like, in the hip hop culture. It's called Rap of China. It's basically like this survival show. It's like this reality survival show, right? And they basically choose like these contestants to go like round and round. It's kind of like The Voice, but the hip hop version. Right.
An audition talent show.
Exactly. Right. And I did those a cappella verses to kind of do like an audition. For the show. Right. Because that's why I did a Chinese verse and an English verse. Right. Because I think it would just showcase like the variety of different like lyricism I had.
I mean, that to be able to speak 2 languages is impressive, but to be able to like rap in 2 languages, it means you have a very good grasp of that language to be able to rhyme and make metaphors and things like that. So like that's definitely something to be proud of, something to showcase. Absolutely. So what happens with these contestants on this show? Like, is there a record deal at the end of it, or how does that work?
I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with like 88 Rising, you know?
I don't think so.
They've been like on the rise in the last couple of years. Just, you know, mostly through YouTube and that kind of medium. And they're like an Asian hip hop record label. Like Rich Brian, like Higher Brothers, you know, people like that. And one of the girls who came off the show, she finished like 4th or something like that. She got signed by 88 Rising like right away.
Not even coming first. Like top 5, right?
Just like, and she was an R&B singer, you know. on a hip hop show.
Yeah.
So I think I mean the amount of hype surrounding it, the amount of like, you know, the talk around the show each year, building up to you know the season is like it's nuts. You know,
it's a platform. I mean, it sounds like it. It's getting people noticed, whether they're winning the show or not,
or losing,
or losing, or you know, if you're there and there's millions of eyes on you, you're on national television.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
People are like scouts are watching. Yeah. People are watching, right? Sweet. So, what was the outcome of the material that you submitted? Have you had any feedback about that, or?
So I sent my audition tape to them.
Yeah.
And they liked it, so I'm in like direct contact with one of their like executive like producers right now.
Okay.
For the show.
Far out.
And she's like updating me on, you know, the progress of the auditions and just like moving along with the process. And then I think actually they're extending their audition like I don't know if you want to call it like districts. They're just extending their different locations for auditioning.
Sure.
To Toronto.
Okay.
This year.
Great.
So I think I'm gonna go there first, and then I'm gonna see what happens like after that, and then I'll probably think about going back to China for the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the big show, for the PGA tournament.
For sure. Trying to scream that Tiger Woods.
Yeah. That's cool, man. So I always have to ask everyone, you know, because for so many people, music is so many different things.
Yeah.
And where it fits into their life and, you know, what it means to them and how, you know. So for you, for Diverseddie, like, what's the ultimate goal for you? Where does music fit into your life and how far are you trying to take this?
I think ultimately, like even now, the whole reason why I started it is because I think like multilingualism in music is just, there's not much of it in the scene. I think people they like to stick to one language, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think like a way to maybe bring together sounds from around the world is through language. You know, and I think I have sort of already kind of started doing that. Is, you know, the fan base I've been building lately, people have been telling me like, I really enjoy the fact that you put Chinese in your lyrics, and I can relate to it. It sounds like a very modern sound, except with my mother tongue.
Right.
So it's like a lot of overseas Asian communities, they can relate to that, you know, and it's not just, you know, an American packaged sound. Yeah. You know, it's like a very globalized type of music. Like it's a mixture of kind of like this R&B K-pop genre. Yeah. With a little bit of rap in it. Yeah. You know?
No, it's great, man. It really is.
One of those kind of things.
You fused all of them very seamlessly on that last EP. So the vision is to capture that market of the bilingual market and get them on the team. Where is the music for you in your daily schedule? Is this something that like consumes you? Is this a side hobby to relieve stress from your work, or is this like you're trying to do this full time? Like, is that kind of the idea?
Yeah. So since the start of this year, I've done it. I've started doing it full time.
Right.
And I don't know how long I'm gonna persist with it full time. I think it's just I'm gonna do it and see how it goes and how fast it's progressing. But before that, I worked in an engineering office, and I was working like a day job, like a full-time job, in China while I was doing music on the side. That was very exhausting, because it's one thing to just do music like as a hobby, but when you're like seriously trying to commit to a project like an EP, it's like you have to, because I recorded probably like double amount of songs
than what were released.
Right.
Sure.
You know, because I think that's the elimination process. You know, I mean, nobody can expect to just write 7 songs,
7 perfect songs,
and release 7 songs. You know, I guess if you're like really at that level, then there's really no need to be in a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah,
you know. But yeah, I had to. I mean, I wrote essentially like I wrote an album. I released the EP. That's essentially what I did.
Okay. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Right. And there are songs that I just chose not to release. I guess you treat them as practice.
Yeah.
So I think the journey was like, I started preparing this EP like halfway through the year last year, and then got to the end of the year, I finished it. And honestly, like, I think the creative process is very, you can't demand it, you know? It's like sometimes you just sit there for a month and you can't get one like very great idea.
Yes.
But there's times where, you know, you sit for 2 days and you get like 3 songs done in 2 days. Yeah. And it's just amazing how like efficient it is, right? Yeah.
This comes up a lot, like almost every episode where we talk about like the creative process and like where it comes from and how do you get inspired. And, and yeah, most people say the same thing. Like there isn't like a button you can turn on to just be like, okay, writing a hit right now. Like you got to push through it. You got to write a couple crappy songs. You got to, and then, you know, who knows where it comes from. But when you feel it, like you said, 3 songs in 2 days, and you're like, oh, I'm on fire right now.
That's insane, like, right. But I am doing it full time now. And people who have been following me on social media knows, like, I've been trying to push 1 song every week, which is crazy. Like, and I'm trying to do a visual for it every week.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah, that's
a song plus visual and plus like released on all platforms. So, you know, it's like, it's on Spotify, it's on like the Chinese platforms too.
Okay.
And on YouTube, and just, you know, it's I think it really keeps me disciplined, you know, because the moment you release something, you got to think about the next release. Totally. Right away.
There's all the expectations, like we were saying at the beginning, like the fans, you know, people counting on you now. Yeah. You're on, the spotlight's on now, right?
It is,
you know?
Right. Yeah.
So you're you know, exactly finishing, and you got to be thinking about the next one already.
Yeah.
And that can get pretty exhausting, right?
It is. Right.
How do you balance all of this with your personal life?
So in terms of like having downtimes, like something that, you know, we're doing right now will be like a good way to, you know, for me to get my mind away from making music.
Sure.
Or just, I don't know, doing emails and stuff, right? You know, but I think other than like occasions like this, I also just try to, you know, I give myself like 1 day out of the week or something, you know, or maybe sometimes like if I'm really tired, I just rest until I don't feel tired. And I think
that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cause sometimes people are like, they schedule it in a very strict fashion. And they said, okay, it's only that 1 day. But after that day, they still feel exhausted and they still can't create. You know, it's like you still have to listen to your body, right?
Right. So you're pretty conscious about recharging your battery.
Yeah, it is.
And not burning yourself out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, I can't make anything.
Yeah. How can you?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I use this analogy a lot, but it's like, you know, you can force yourself to continue like building like a brick wall or something, you know, just 2 more bricks, 3 more bricks and some cement. But like if it's music, like we said, like that creativity doesn't really have an on and off switch, right? And so that absence sometimes is as important as the creativity.
Yeah.
Because it lets you empty everything, and then there's a void to be filled with, for things to come in again.
Right.
You have to like, you know, fill the glass before you can, or drain the glass before you can fill the glass.
Right, for sure.
So that's great that you understand that, man. I think that's really important because there's just no point in burning yourself out and like being, you know, all proud and prideful about how hard you work and stuff. Like that's okay, but you know, for the creativity stuff, like you really have to, you know, it's a feeling, man, and it's about, you know, it's about emotion and it's about realness and passion and stuff. So you can't fake that kind of thing, you know?
Right. It is.
It's got to come from a real place.
Yeah. I agree.
Where do you get your beats from, and how do you go about choosing those? Do you have one guy that you work with, one guy or girl, or do you go online and spend hours beat hunting like a lot of people do? Like,
yeah.
What's it like for you?
I do a mixture of everything.
Yeah.
There's times where I work with like individual producers, or I go online and search.
Yeah.
I know what kind of genre, what kind of keywords, you know, so I don't, there's been a process where I had to eliminate, you know, the keywords that I'm searching. Like I literally, when I started doing this, I go on YouTube and just search like rap beat.
Like super generic.
Yeah, like all the the top searches are like, you know, the ones with like 20 million views and clicks. Yeah. But no, I eventually dumped down my filter.
Okay.
And then that took a lot of, you know, just trial and error. And I think there's been times where I thought that I could do, well, I mean, I'm pretty versatile, but there's been times where I thought maybe this is the genre that I'm like, I want to do. But after like writing 5 songs, I realized like, this is not the genre that I feel like suits me the most, just because what I want to do with my music is not necessarily pushing this kind of demeanor, you know?
Okay.
Right. The beat speaks volume about, I think, the personality of the music.
Yep.
Right. If it's very gritty, or if it's very like intense, I think it kind of encapsulates this feeling of, and no matter what the lyric is, or no matter what you write onto it, as soon as the beat drops, it kind of encapsulates a sense of like aggression.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Like no matter where you take the song, the beat's gonna set the tone already. Yeah. It's gonna be you can, within the first 4 bars, you can kind of tell what kind of feeling the song's gonna be by the beat.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you got to be careful with that.
Exactly. Right. So yeah. So it's a very, I think nowadays, most of the times I'm just, I know that the particular producers that I want to work with.
Sure.
So I just go to them whenever I need a new idea. Like I know which producer is good at producing what kind of beat.
Yes.
So, you know, I think that's a big part of like finding your sound. You know, it's not just about like sharpening your own voice. It's also about like finding the right people to work with and knowing what kind of people can give me what kind of sound.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, everyone has a certain role, right? And you go to, and the same can be said for mixing too.
Yeah.
You know, you wouldn't go to a rock guy for a hit for an R&B song.
Right.
Or, you know, you may like the way that one guy mixes drums, so you go, you know, if you got a banger, you send it to this guy. So there's a feeling, right, for each person, for each, and that kind of brings me to my next question about, you mentioned your engineer before, who did a phenomenal job on the EP. Like everything just, for me, from being an engineer myself, I was so impressed with the EP.
Thank you. That
not
means
only
a lot.
like with obviously like your lyricism ability and the bilingual aspect of it, but just the overall level of polish was just A+.
Thank you.
And so yeah, just like all the, you know, the effects and the use of delays and things on the vocals and stuff.
Right.
So what's your relationship like with your engineer, and how does that process work when you're trying to achieve the finished product of a mix? Is that, are you guys on the phone talking about this, or does it go back and forth over emails?
Well, my EP was actually mixed by like several different engineers.
Okay.
So it wasn't just one, right? And the process is mostly consisted of, I think most of it is not in person. Most of it will be, you know, like remotely communicated.
Okay.
And I think what we do is we just sit on a chat window and I kind of give like a very vivid imagery of what I want.
Yeah.
You know, if it's like a very soulful feeling, I'm talking about like, you know, melancholy type of stuff, like describing an image, like a picture that I think he or she can fit into their head.
Yeah.
Right. And they can try to transcribe that onto their mixing. And I think that's done wonders for me, is not just telling them like, oh, I want a bigger delay, or I want to, like, you know, I want to pan this, I want to do that, right? I think it's more or less about giving them a particular feeling, putting them inside a setting.
Okay.
And they'll know what to do with it.
Yeah, okay.
Because, you know, engineers are savvy in their knowledge, right?
Yeah.
They don't need me to tell them to, you know, add a technical thing.
I mean, some people, depending on the artist's level of vocabulary with there is a language to all of this, to mixing into quote unquote like studio stuff. So some people will give like full liberty to the engineer and just be like, yo, here's the vocals, here's the beat. Obviously you get a vibe from it, you go to town, go nuts with it. Right. And then some people will be very particular and they'll send, you know, I've gotten emails that I like where I had to scroll. Right. We're talking like pages of emails, right? So everyone's got a different approach to it, but you seem to have a lot of confidence in the people that you're working with in their abilities and to take it in the right direction.
Yeah,
right?
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was very apparent on that project. And then what about for the mastering? Was that one person online? Was that someone that you sat down with in a studio? How was the mastering process?
Actually, the mixing and mastering were done by, like, so usually if I'm reaching out to a producer, engineer, like, they do the mastering all together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because traditionally, I would think that the mixing could be done by everybody, but you'd want one person to do the mastering, just to do a final level check, maybe,
because the volume and all
to have the volume consistent. But as long as each mixing engineer is hitting a certain loudness threshold, I guess that can be okay. But it sounded great, man. Like I said,
thank you. Yeah.
And so the project's been out for. Was it December that you launched it? January?
January.
Yeah. Okay. Because we met in December and then January, and then obviously it's available all over the place.
Yeah.
Have you done any? You mentioned you were doing visuals for the new singles and things you're working on. What about for the EP itself? Are there any videos that people can check out for some of those? Yeah.
So I shot a music video for one of the songs in my EP, "Long Live," and that song really talked about, you know, my immigration life, and just what I think that song got a lot of people overseas just very buzzed, because people were jumping on to the topic of, for the longest time, nobody talked about this issue of being overseas, like in a second generation immigrant family.
Sure.
You know, and they're just having this mixed identity that no one can really relate to, other than this very special community, right? And I think I try to stand out and try to represent that. So that music video is out on my YouTube, my Diverseddie music. That's the first video I dropped on my channel. That music video
on the YouTube channel,
right?
Great, okay.
Right. Yeah, there's a bunch of wild stories that happened when I shot that music video. I don't know if you want to go into details of that, but
yeah, I would like. I always love hearing about the process of making videos, and you know, how what's it like working with the director? What was the story? How was the storyboard put together? So please, let's elaborate on that.
Yeah. So the craziest thing is we chose a location for the shoot on a mountain. It was a very prairie type of mountain. Okay, and it wasn't very traveler friendly, you know. There wasn't a particular road for vehicles to easily traverse in and out. So it was very bumpy road on gravel pretty much, you know, and we were running out of gas very fast, you know. But that's not even the crazy part. This is all just very you know, side
the
side issues, right? Yeah, like this is like the stuff that warms it up. So on the first night we shot the video, and you when you go look at the music video, you can see a lot of this scene.
Okay.
We decided to do the scene where I was wrapped in these bandages on top, and basically like beneath the bandage is nothing, right? And the bottom I was wearing jeans, but on the mountains it was like at least I would say a good 0 degrees plus wind chill. So it's like
uncomfortable. Right?
Everybody is like wearing like thick winter coats.
Sure.
Because this is like very high altitude, right?
Okay.
And yeah, so everybody was like in the thick, like the like
the Canada
the full
Gooses
body,
and
right? And the parkas, and then I was just like in a bandage, wrapped in a bandage, and I couldn't move my arms. It was crazy. And the moment like we started shooting the video, because the entire area was pitch darkness.
Right.
I mean, this was like midnight.
Yeah.
We brought out 2 lights that shone on my body. They shone on my body, and then like the way that that kind of set off the alarm for it was a hunting area that we were shooting in.
Oh, wow.
So it set off the alarm, and then the guard dog was like barking at us the whole time.
Oh shit!
It was approaching us, right?
Oh my gosh!
And it was like a hound. This wasn't like a. It wasn't like a family breed, type of dog. It was like a hound, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a hunting dog, right? So, yeah, it was very loud. And one of my buddies who was like at the shoot with me was using an umbrella to like fend off the dog.
Oh my God.
Yeah. While I was like in the grass field, in the wheat field, like doing my lip syncing.
Yeah.
So that was
so you're freezing cold, and there's this like bloodthirsty dog
right.
running and trying to like a guard dog literally
right.
that has one objective is
right.
to seek and destroy. Basically.
Yeah, exactly. And then like we had the speaker of music playing in the middle of like nowhere, right?
Oh my God.
And then so the director was like doing all the shots and directing the shots in front, and then we had to put like this fume, like this colorful fume, that
like colored smoke or
colored smoke behind me. But that was very hard because all the grass are like they're kind of damp in a way.
Yeah.
So it's hard to just put like something that was set on fire in the grass. So every time we put it in, it doesn't light up.
Oh my God.
So we had to do that. While I was waiting for them to do that, I was just standing there like my teeth were clattering and everything. I was like I couldn't move.
So sorry, at this point you guys got rid of the dog though.
No, the dog was still barking at us.
While all of this is still happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this wasn't even like the biggest bang of the night.
Oh my God.
And I mean that like figuratively and literally, because eventually the hunters came in like their sports vehicle.
Yeah.
Their utility vehicle, and then they spotted us like on the road, and then they drove past us, and then they opened fire twice.
What?
Yeah.
Like at you, or just to make a noise to be like, get out of here?
I don't know, but it was pretty intimidating.
Dude.
And it was very loud. The recoil, you can hear, because there was nothing in the area.
Yeah.
It was an open area, so you can hear the recoil just like, it's like adding like heavy delay.
I'm familiar with that sound. I used to live in like a hunting area in Europe, and you can hear shotguns for miles.
Yeah. That sound really, it sticks with you, And when it was that close and I was the only object in the light, everybody else was in the dark, right?
Oh, dude.
I was like, I must be the only target, you know?
Yeah.
So I was like, man, if they shot me with a rifle and I had bandages like wrapped on my body, I'm like,
it'd be somewhat fitting, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm like, that would be a dope video, but I think that would be like the only video.
That'd be the first and last.
Yeah. So that was like the biggest, like, I think, threat for us for the shoot. I mean, who would have thought just doing like a lip syncing scene in the grass would involve almost getting shot by some hunters
and freezing to death.
Yeah,
yeah,
and yeah. After that, my hands were like obviously like under hypothermia.
Wow.
And then like it was crazy because I couldn't move my hands for a while. So what happened is that my makeup artist, shout out to my makeup artist, she had to hold my hands for like a good half an hour
to warm them up. Wow, so you could continue the video.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not like I didn't enjoy that, but it's still, But I mean, like it was a very, I think, physically demanding shoot. Like it wasn't.
Wow, sounds like it.
It wasn't anything I expected. I thought we were just gonna go in there, go in and go out, right?
Yeah.
But all these circumstances came up.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was one of a lifetime experience. Honestly, I think the experience itself spoke more than the actual video because people don't see those things on the video.
They don't see the behind the scenes.
They just see us saying to the camera.
Yeah.
And so that's unfortunate. Like I was almost talking to my director and I was saying like, what if we like put those scenes in the video where like the dogs are just barking at us, right? Like what if we put that in? And he's like, no, we're not putting that in.
So you almost want to have a documentary crew with you now.
Yeah.
For those types of moments.
Now that I know, yeah. That was my first ever very ghetto shoot. Like never had a shoot like that kind of to that kind of danger level. Right.
Dude.
Yeah.
So eventually you guys got out of there, everyone got out safe.
Yeah.
Your hands recovered.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was the rest of the process like for that video? What were some of the other shoots? Like indoor shoots, or was the whole video on this mountain?
The whole thing was outside. So the second day, we did a shoot in the middle of among like the center of a couple of mountains. Okay. So we were trying to set up a drone shoot, but obviously drone shoot needs like satellite signal. So that was we miscalculated on that. but what we had to do is we had to go down this hill from the parking lot down to the the bottom, the flat area. And what we literally had to do is I was wearing my Jordans. I was like, why did I wear my Jordans for this? It's like the most unfitting shoe.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're just like tiptoeing everywhere, trying not to get them dirty.
It's worse. It's the worst choice, and it's flat.
Yeah,
you're not getting any traction on the hill.
Yeah,
and it was just so we were like trying to move inch by inch down the hill while holding this drone box, which was like probably like a good 30, 40 pounds, and it was just that. I think that really that was also a thing of itself too. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And we had to come back up like that too.
So there's something to be said for like scouting out your location in advance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I imagine when they shoot like the Lord of the Rings, they didn't just show up on the mountains in New Zealand, right? They had like teams of dudes out there with
for sure
getting like licenses or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously the budget's completely different, but the idea, right, is so I think maybe like you said, great learning experience. You came out alive, smarter, better than ever from all of this.
Right.
That's really cool. So how has the response been for the video?
It's been great. Like at first, when I didn't even release the video, when I just released the song as a demo, people received it very well. And I think that was the spark for me to decide to release like an EP based surrounding that.
Okay.
But obviously my EP didn't really stay to that same style for the whole EP. I obviously focused on a lot more like modernized sound, a lot less old school.
Yeah.
But that song was the spark for me to decide and go and do a full-on project, because when I released the demo, I actually posted it like a video that I recorded on my phone on Facebook. And people were like, they were going crazy. My friends were going crazy over that. And I never seen people go so crazy, like sharing my content, among Facebook friends.
Awesome.
And I think that really just, that was like the defining call for me to, I knew something was like I was doing that was bigger than just music. And I knew like, okay, this is something that I could create like an impact with.
Yeah.
It's like a movement I could do.
Yeah.
Right.
That's when it kind of dawned on you, hey, like this is working. I could do something with this.
Right.
Yeah?
Right.
You mentioned when you were doing the engineering work in China that you were writing, you were still working on music on the side there.
Yeah.
But how far back does your interest in music go? Like, when did you decide, or like when did you start rapping? Like, when did you decide that, like, I want to try this? Like, was there one rapper in particular that you looked up to when you were younger that you listened to? That's for me, it was like, I used to listen to Illmatic, and I was like,
Illmatic, yeah,
Nas, and like, I want to try that, and then here I am now.
Yeah.
So for you, like, how early did that start? That interest in, what was that like? That journey?
So I think in terms of like rap influence,
yeah.
I think the first rap song I've ever heard was like 50 Cent's Candy Shop.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like it was like a fad back then. You know,
he had a good run, man. He had a good
the Massacre, run. Like the Massacre. I mean, what else? Like those couple of albums that he dropped.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
Get Rich or Die Trying. Yeah, I mean those.
Where every
were
song
like,
was a single.
Yeah. Every one of those was like a hit.
Yeah.
You know, and back then everybody listened to 50 Cent.
Yeah.
On the school bus.
Oh my God, yeah.
I mean, I was probably in like middle school back then.
Okay.
And that just hit me. And Akon's like Smack That, you know, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, everywhere.
Nelly Furtado and stuff like that.
Okay.
I think that really kind of, I mean, it was endless influence around me. Everybody was just listening to the same song, right? And then I think that was early rap influence, but my influence is very complicated because I also listen to Asian music.
For sure.
You know, like I listen to the pop songs in China. There's a very famous artist called like Jay Chou.
Okay.
He's acted in a lot of American movies, like Green Hornet. He was the guy who played Kato. But I listened to a lot of Asian music on top of the rap influence. So what I did is in high school, I think maybe just because I didn't really feel like studying like, you know, like all the other kids who were in gifted programs around me. I was in a gifted program too, but I just didn't really, I needed a way to get away from it.
Yeah.
So what I did is I just did pop covers. And what I would do is like I would take out the verse on the pop cover and I would just remix a rap like verse in there.
Okay.
But it was nothing, I mean, I'm not even saying it's nothing, I don't think it was like even mature, you know. The sound was very, you could see like there's something going on there, but I mean, it's not something you could just listen to like, I think, you know, as like an everyday in your phone kind of thing.
Okay.
It was more of those experimental type of, and back then, especially because, you know, I still had a pretty thick accent, you know, in terms of like trying to pronounce rhymes properly.
Right.
And that had a, I think, pretty detrimental effect on my, you know, but yeah, I think, I mean, I was 15, right? How good could I have been in terms of writing anyways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And regardless of whatever my origin is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Your level, no matter what language you speak, like how your level of maturity
age,
and life experience when you're 15 is,
the intellect is just not there.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. So I started doing that. I started doing pop covers. And honestly, like, I got so much hate on my Facebook pages. I still remember, like, I will post a pop cover and I would get like 4 likes, but then like 20 comments that are like, "Oh, you try so hard, right? You know, like you should not like." Because I used to cover like Lupe Fiasco.
Nice.
You know, the old school rappers, right? Lupe Fiasco had a pretty good bang for the buck back then.
Yeah, Food and Liquor, and he had a couple good, you know, that Kick Push. He had some good songs back then, you know.
And he had very like philosophical like bars on his tracks that people really liked.
Yeah, in a time where gangster rap was very forward. You know, G Unit, like we said, 50 Cent, that was big. The whole, you know, Eminem and those guys. Yeah. D12, that was big right back then. And then you get the, you know, the conscious guys. The conscious, you could call them. Like, so, yeah, he stood out a little bit.
Yeah, Lupe Fiasco. I used to cover him like on my like on Facebook and everything, and so that extended all the way until I went to college. Okay, and then after I went to college, I started listening to more, I think, poppy genres, like Korean pop, like K-pop. Nice. But on top also just like American pop, like a normal pop, you know. normal pop. I mean, when you live in Canada, like the normal pop is what's on the radio.
That's funny. I've never heard it be called normal pop before, but I guess so. Yeah, like if that's what you're used to, it's normal pop, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just the trend, right? It's always the trend. So I'm like, okay, that's what people define norm. So it's normal, right? But yeah, I listen to a lot of those, and then I think along with that, I still wrote rap verses, not in the like super hardcore gangsta way. Yeah, more like just in the like, you write an R&B hook and then you just write a rap verse on top of that. Yeah. You know? Like the chill stuff. Totally. And that kind of had a hit and miss with, you know, when I try to release things, I kind of gauge at what people are really interested in hearing me do. And yeah, I think people are more interested when I do melodic stuff than when I do just like strict rap verses. Yeah. Right? And yeah, so I kind of caught that on, and then, but I never, because I was, you know, I studied engineering in college, right? So that was rigorous. So I never had time to just like take a semester off and just do music. Yeah, it's not an option. Yeah, especially because, you know, I grew up in a, you know, Asian parental family, right? Yes. So it's like you got to just you hit the pedal all the time with academics. So, but I still try to make time to do it as much as I could. And I think that really built the fundamentals. I think people overlook the fact that I started doing that like subconscious building since I was 15, all the way until I was like, you know, after, like, you know, all the way until I graduated from college. Yeah. That's a solid like 6-7 years, right? And that's not like, that's nothing to be like that's nothing to overlook. Yep. You know, people I think they don't see that process because I only posted the materials on my own private Facebook pages, you know. Sure. So the world doesn't see that.
They don't see all the background work and the dedication, sticking with it for that long.
Even though like a lot of times at first I got a lot of doubts on just the materials I'm putting out, because, and I think I always had it back in my mind. I was like, the fact that people are giving me this harsh criticism it's exactly what it should be, because nobody should just be like, I open my voice and it's just like an angel, right? You know, it's. There's very, I mean, I guess there's people like that, but there's very few people who I think holds just the right talent to do that, like on a whim. Yeah. You know, like the fact that I got harsh criticism told me something was going right. Okay. Because I was taking it in a way where I was like, okay, this is the stuff that I'm gonna look back to, and I'm gonna document, and then like now. I'm going to probably just dig up some of those old Facebook posts and show people the comment section. And I'm not ashamed of showing like my past. Unlike a lot of artists, they delete their old videos and stuff. I'm not afraid of doing that, because I'm like, you know, when you look at me as a 15, 16-year-old, obviously this is nothing you can listen to on the radio. This is not materials you can just, you know, try to push onto to charts. But it's like, it's where everybody starts, and that's the real part about, you know, what I'm doing. Yeah, is there's nothing. I never gone through professional training. It's just time. You know.
So you're not ashamed of that. Yeah. The unrefined older stuff from your past. It's it's what made you who you are now.
For
and
sure.
So you're still open and willing to have people see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very brave, I think, because I know a lot of people that, you know, they go through what's called like a rebranding like every couple of years. And they'll just, if something wasn't successful, they sweep it under the rug, and then they try and rebuild themselves as a new thing. Like, but I don't know if that's the way to go about it, because that stuff is valuable, right? Like, you spent time creating that ultimately, and that's like, it's still you. Yeah. That's still that was you. Right. You didn't, you know? I mean, you can change your name, you can pick a new outfit, but it's still like, that's still the same human that made that. Exactly. No matter how you rebrand yourself or whatever. So yeah. That's cool, man. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah. What is it like having that, like you said, the strict Chinese parents that were trying to push the school on you, and was there ever like, did you ever butt heads with your parents trying to convince them that making music was the right decision? And did you have to prove to them, like, look how hard I'm working on this, I can I don't need to be doing school full time? Like, was that challenging for you?
I mean, it's constantly going, like, it's still ongoing, obviously. Like, there's never a process. And I think, like, Chinese parents or Asian parents, I think maybe I'm being too generalized here, but in general, they just have a different way of looking at, like, growth, you know, looking at success, you know. And I think that's nothing to blame them for, because they grew up in a society that, you know, didn't open up, didn't have the kind of values that we have here, right? And didn't have the flexibility of doing different occupations, like freelance occupations, and make a living. Yeah. And in those societies, it's very realistic. You know, it's like doing music. I mean, I saw a lot of artists in China, like, you know, at my age, doing music, it's very hard to get by, and very hard to make like a decent living where you can feel like finance is not your first worry. Right. And creativity is your first worry. Like, that's almost never the case, you know? So I can understand where they're coming from. Yeah. But definitely, I don't think I ever tried to convince them into just believing that I can do music like full time forever. Because I don't think I'm going to do that. And I think the thing with life is, like, I don't want to just stick with one thing and just, that's me, you know? I think categorizing has never been my forte. Because I actually used to, when I was in college, I started my own fitness, like, personal training brand. Okay. That was like another branch that I took. Yeah. Completely away from, you know? So that was like another segue that I did. But I put that on pause to do music after. But I think categorizing myself with my parents was just never my thing. And I never tell them, like, look, you know, music is exactly what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. I'm going to devote my whole life to. I never told them that. Okay. But they are still worried about me putting too much priority on this over trying to make, like, an actual, like, you know, like, stable living, I guess. Yeah. Right? It is still part of their worry, but I think they know, like, to an extent, that I'm not very impulsive to the point where I'm just gonna give up, you know, everything else for the sake of pursuing one thing. Yes. I think, you know, honestly, I think a lot of people think that's passion, but I think that's almost a little bit like you're butting head with yourself, you know, almost a little bit. You're
in denial. You're not being realistic to an extent.
Yeah. Right? I mean, there's no point, like, and I think the reason for that is because people think if they just take 3 years off their regular life and do music, they'll blow up, and that'll solve the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the mentality of, like, majority of the people that I meet, you know?
Blow up and then I'll be rich for the rest of my life.
Exactly. Because they see, like, Little Pump. They see like the SoundCloud rappers. They see like the internet like celebrities.
Yeah.
And they think that's what it is.
That's the end goal.
Right. But honestly, like, it's a marathon. Yeah. And so why would you put yourself in a predicament where you're like, you have to deal with financial burdens? You should. I think a person should never have to deal with financial burdens to pursue their passion. You know, I think unless you're really just unfortunate and you're stuck in that place. But I feel like for me, you know, I went through like an educated degree. Yeah. There should be no reason why I got to put myself through financial burdens. You know, it's like, why did I go through a degree and then have to like be broke? Yeah. Just to do music.
It makes sense for you doing it that way, you know, setting yourself up first, and then, you know, it's like building your career, then having children instead of the other way around. Like, uh-oh, we're pregnant, and now we got to make money.
Right, exactly.
But for a lot of people, I don't think it is that way. Yeah. And I think, you know, people that come from less fortunate backgrounds that, you know, when they work at Starbucks but they happen to be super talented, and their entire paycheck goes towards like buying a mic and, you know, paying for mixing. Right. So there is like, that is a reality. Like, those people are out there, and there's a big chunk of them. I work with a lot of them. I know a lot of them. And so, I mean, it's okay to have the attitude of you shouldn't have to be that way. Right. Because you don't. Right. You don't have to. And obviously you aren't. So, but I don't think it's the only way. I mean, those people out there that are the real like struggling artists, you know, that we hear about, like, there's so many of those people out there. And, you know, that stick through it thick and thin and never give up, and they're broke as hell, and every cent goes to the music, and then eventually some of them do blow up, you know, but that's...
I respect that, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Those people out there are, you know, the true passionate artists, you know, the people that aren't good at the people that aren't good at like the desk jobs and the numbers and the things like that. Yeah, you know?
For sure.
I was one of those people, you know. Like I happen.
I can't tell. You seem to be an articulate guy. Yeah.
I happen to have like good parents that helped me, that supported me, helped me, you know, believed in what I was doing, and paid for me to go to school to become an engineer and stuff like that. But I still had to make it on my own, and you know, not have a ton of money. Yeah. And did work at Starbucks.
Come off of your and for sure.
Everything in this room was built with like Home Depot money and Starbucks money, Yeah. And I know a ton of people like that, where like they've like I said, they do like invest every cent into the music. So yeah, shout out to those people.
No, for sure.
That are like just the passionately pursuing the dream. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. That's for sure.
So before we get you out of here, man, I would love to hear a little bit of a cappella from you, if you're down to do a little, if you can do something in Mandarin, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I was so impressed when you came through the first time when we met, at just like your lyricism ability and your cadence and your delivery. Like, it's very rare nowadays that people still can spit bars. And you're one of those people. It's really rare. And for me, as a fan of hip hop, it's exciting when I get to meet legitimate rappers like yourself. People who can still come with the bars. Yeah. You know, go get through a 16-bar verse in one take. That kind of thing. Yeah. You know. So I don't want to build you up too much, but
no, it's fine. It's just, you know.
So yeah, I mean, honestly, man, like as a hip hop fan and as a fan of music, I thoroughly enjoyed your project.
Thank you.
And I'm a fan. Like, you've converted me into a fan. I'm looking forward to new Diverseddie stuff, like, for real.
Thank you, man.
So we're gonna get some links to your new material
for sure.
When the episode drops, that'll be kind of linked to that. So we'll put the podcast out. We'll let everybody know where they can find your stuff. Yeah. And we'll make sure that you get a shout out for your social media.
Yeah, for sure.
So where can people find you online if they want to check you out right now?
For sure. I appreciated that.
You're on. Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram.
What's the handle? So
the handle
people can
is,
check you out.
I haven't changed it to my artist name. It's actually Engineer, like Eng, with the gym inside.
Okay.
And the near.
Okay.
Right. So
okay.
Engineer.
And links to the YouTube on there as well. If people want to check out your channel, where's that at?
YouTube is just at Diverseddie Music. So the way I spelled my name is like, my name is Eddie.
Yeah.
So, that I just change up the end of the Diverseddie. So it's diverse with a double D-I-E.
Okay.
Right.
Perfect.
So Diverseddie, right. And Diverseddie Music. So if you have my Instagram, it's all linked together. Everything's linked together. So it's easy to find me.
We didn't get a chance to talk about your live shows. Is there any, are you going to be performing in Vancouver anytime soon if people want to come see you live? Like, is that something that we're going to be we can look forward to? Can we announce any events?
Currently in Vancouver, probably not, because in April I'm focused on doing the TV show in China.
Okay.
But after that, I think I will start hitting up venues or local organizers to do shows locally.
Okay.
So for sure, but I'll announce those on my social media, obviously, everywhere, right?
Perfect.
Prior to me doing that. Yeah.
Perfect. And the new album, the EPs, Apple Music, it's out on Spotify.
Yeah, for sure.
For everyone that wants to check that out.
Yeah.
Can we get a little taste? Can we get a little acapella before we get you out of here?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
So, whatever you got, maybe you got something in mind. Maybe you want to do that, the bit you did for the audition, and whatever you want, man.
Yeah,
just give people a little taste.
Honestly, I'll do a verse that's mixed between English and Mandarin.
Perfect.
So you know what I'm all about, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll just do a casual verse. All right.
Perfect.
So, yes. So, this song I wrote back when I was kind of out lost on my own, doing my own thing, drifting. Finding work, finding place to belong to. So it goes like this. So it goes like. We glance up at the constellations, thinking which one is more complicated, our lives or them stars in the skies. The years we thought have been confiscated, so afraid. 对不对？追着累会不会残废 and probably never make it. That had backpack with a fast rap, but I never nap past on the hours. 流着 sour 的泪还有汗水 ，real power 是 love 不是赞美，积攒半途而废的作品无法挽回，不求荣华富贵，禁止几个数位乌龟，不跟兔子比，随便住个地，只要付得起路费，能在天亮之前入睡 and do through faith， 不是在夜夜的宿醉。Touché, yo, that's what's up.
Yeah, Diverseddie in the building.
Yeah, so
dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming through. This has been a lot of fun. Hopefully, the fans have got a chance to get to know you a little bit. The man behind the scenes.
For sure, man.
Phenomenal, experience sitting down with you. The stories were great. Thank you so much. And like I said, we'll get links to all your material out when the show drops.
Thank you. And
thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah,
and
thank
we'll
you,
talk
everybody.
to you real soon. All right.
Yeah.
Peace.
Peace out.